Hello everyone, I am Rhyperion, and today I want to show you a deck that I've been experimenting with for a while now, which is Zoro and Sanji. Now, I made my own build of this deck that I have never seen anyone else play, and I've been doing really well with it on the sim. And then recently I took this to a offline regional as well in Utrecht, where there were 1,000 participants, and I ended up getting 123rd place, which is honestly really good, especially since it's Zoro Sanji. With a decklist I've seen nobody else play. And back at the tournament, I had multiple people who were really surprised by the cards that are in this deck and just how well everything works together. And so that's why I wanted to do a small showcase and hopefully get more people interested in playing this deck and experimenting with it because it's genuinely really good. So without further ado, let's get into the showcase. So first of all, Zoro Sanji, what does he do? Because I know a lot of people don't know this leader. So when you put one Dawn under this leader and then you swing with it, it has one attacking effect that says you can bounce a 2-cost or higher character back to your own hand, and in exchange you get to restand a 7,000 power or less character on your field. Now, bouncing back a 2-cost or higher is a pretty high cost. However, it's not too bad because you can do something like play a 2-cost on play character, get the on play value, and then simply bounce it back with your leader effect, and then also get a extra swing in. And on top of that, if the thing you swing with has a when attacking effect, you can do the when attacking effect twice. So really, really good. So I wanted to make as much use of this effect as possible, of this leader. And the best card to do this with, in my opinion, is Jinbei. Jinbei is the heart and soul of this deck because this card says, 4-cost on play, you cheat out another Seven Warlord of the Sea, which are very good cards in their own right. And so the usual play you're going to make with this deck is in your 4th turn, you cheat out, you play Jinbei, and then he's going to do his on play, he's going to cheat out, for example, Weevil, right? And then you pass turn, next turn you're on 6 Dawn, you're going to say, okay, I swing with Jinbei, and now I swing with Weevil, and then you're going to swing with your leader, and you're going to use his effect when attacking to bounce back Jinbei. And by bouncing back Jinbei, you can restand Weevil. So you get an additional swing. And now with the Dawn you have left, you just say, okay, this Jinbei that I just bounced, I'm just gonna replay it now. Cheat out another Warlord. And now you've been able to develop your board while also getting an extra swing. And Jinbei is basically allowing you to use your leader ability for completely free, which is insanely, insanely good. And is also why it's the most important card in this deck. And because it is so important to see this card, we run 8 searchers for it, where the first searcher is gonna be Sengoku. Sengoku obviously just searches a 7 Warlord, which includes Jinbei, which includes all of the Warlords that Jinbei can cheat out. And that's all he does. And then the second searcher that we play, which is where the Spice comes in, that works really well, is Cammy. Cammy is a searcher that looks for Fishman or Merfolk. Merfolk doesn't really matter, but Jinbei is a Fishman. And so, because we run Sengoku and Cammy, we are going to see Jinbei almost every single match. I would estimate that you see Jinbei before your 4 Dawn turn in 4 out of 5 matches because of the consistency of these two searchers. And obviously, as you can see, this is a Fishman searcher, and so we are running a deck that has both 7 Warlords cards in it and Fishman cards in it. And it works really well because Fishman has some surprisingly really strong cards with this deck. But I'll show you the 7 Warlords cards first and then get into the Fishman. So the first 7 Warlord card we have is Mihawk, a pretty obvious choice. He is a staple in any Zoro Sanji deck because he says on play you can cheat out a slash character that costs 4 or less. It is played rested, which is unfortunate, but this card is just really good with Zoro Sanji, played in almost every Zoro Sanji deck because it's a 3-cost that cheats out a 4-cost, and then with your leader ability you can bounce this back to your hand later whenever you want. And then on top of that, it is a 2k counter. So even if you don't really get value out of this, you're still gonna have a 2k counter that is also searchable in this case. So very good card, very important card. You don't really cheat this out with Jinbei, but there is a very spicy play you can make where you say, okay, I play Jinbei into Dracul Mihawk into a slash character on your 4th on turn. And then you have 3 characters on your field, which is just incredible. But it's very rare. But yeah, good card, important card. Next up is gonna be Edward Weevil. Yeah, kind of obvious card to put into the deck. Jinbei plus Edward Weevil is a disgusting combo. He's a 6k body that draws a card. You cannot not put this in the deck. Then next up, there is Gecko Moria. Gecko Moria, another really strong 7 Warlord card. On play, you get to take a 7 Warlord back from your trash. So if Jinbei is dead, you can take that back. If you need a 2k counter, you can take that back. This is basically a 4-cost searcher with a normal stat line. Very strong card, very good for your card economy. And then next up, we have Edward Weevil from OP08. What this card does is it says, when attacking, if there is 1 Dawn under this card, you can bounce a 3-cost or lower card back to hand. Now, that means that any low-cost card that your opponent has, which could be low-cost blockers, or Charlotte Perrow Sparrow, or Tony Chopper, or Black Maria, any of those you can just bounce back, which is very good for your board control. And especially against Zoro, this card is absolutely amazing because you can bounce back their Tony Choppers, bounce back basically any character they have. And then the when attacking effect is not once per turn. So in this deck, you can say, okay, I swing with this, bounce back your Tony Chopper. Then you use your Zoro Sanji effect to restand this. You swing again to bounce back another character. And you can just, against decks like Zoro, you can just clear their board. And even in situations where your opponent does not have a 3-cost or less character, this card is still really, really good because you have 8 searchers. And you can simply bounce those back. So you can say, okay, I swing with this, bounce back Sengoku, play Sengoku again, restand Weevil with my leader, swing with Weevil again, bounce Sengoku back, or Kami, whatever, play Sengoku again. It's a very strong player for your card economy. So if you're in a slower matchup, which happens sometimes, this card is also really, really valuable. If it sticks, because against black decks, they are going to remove this instantly, which is very painful. But if it sticks, it's an incredibly good card. Also, it's a slash, so you can cheat it out with Mihawk. And then lastly, the last warlord we run is going to be Boa Hancock. She is similar to Edward Weevil, with the difference that she is a blocker, and her when attacking effect says, instead of bouncing something, her when attacking effect lets you draw a card if your hand is 5 cards or less. So when you have this card on the board, you can essentially draw 2 cards with this effect every single turn, assuming that your hand is pretty empty. But of course, once you have this on the field, you can just counter out really, really aggressively because you know that you can draw 2 new cards via this card in the next turn anyway. Very strong card. However, in the 8.5 meta, I think this should be replaced with the new Boa Hancock because it is a 6k blocker instead of a 5k blocker, and it also has an immediate effect instead of relying on staying on the field. So that's it for the 7 Warlords. And next up are the Fishmen. So the spice of this deck that I've seen no one else play. And the first Fishman is going to be the best one, Vanderdecken. This card, in my opinion, is the second best card in the deck after Jinbei. What he does is, on play, you get to trash a Fishman from your hand to destroy any rested character on the field, which is absolutely insane because when you play it, you just say, okay, your 8-cost kid, that's gone. Your 7-cost Jack, that's gone. Your 10-cost Big Mom that you swung with, that's gone. It is insanely valuable, but normally it is balanced by the fact that you're playing this card and you're discarding another card to get rid of 1 card on the field. So you're basically going -2. However, in this deck, this is a 2-cost. So you can play this card, destroy anything that is rested, and then bounce it back with your leader to restand something, and so you're only going -1 in your hand, and you're also activating your leader effect to restand something, get another swing in. This card can single-handedly win you games. It is especially good against things like Rob Lucci. When Rob Lucci plays Jack on the 7 on turn, he's gonna play Jack. He says, okay, one of your characters is dead. Then it's your turn. You say, okay, I play Vanderdecken. That's a 2 cost that destroys your deck outright. It is an incredible tempo play against a lot of decks. Also really good against Purple Luffy, really good against... Honestly, even if you remove a 4 cost with this, it is still an incredible card. Very, very powerful. And one of the main reasons why Fishman is so good in here. Next Fishman is Arlong. This one is decent. He's a one-off. His effect is on play you can trash any card from your hand, and then your opponent's leader cannot attack next turn. It's a really good effect. You can discard a brick to make it so that you prevent an entire attack. If they have a when attacking leader, it is especially strong. He's a 6k body. He has a trigger that says you can rest a 4 cost or less, which is not very important, but it's there. And he's also a slash character that you can cheat at with Mihawk. So he's a great card, but he has no counter, which is why we run only one of him. On top of that, usually if you have Jinbei in your hand and Arlong, you're gonna play Jinbei instead. So again, that's why you run only one, because he has no counter, and you would rather play Jinbei. But still a really good card that can come in clutch or save you against lethal turns. Next up is Hody Jones. I think the most predictable Fishman in the deck. This card is absolutely incredible. It lets you close out games very easily. It is a staple in any aggro deck, in any green deck. Really, really, really strong card. And in this deck, we run 2. I think that's the perfect amount of Hody Jones to run, because you're going to see him very consistently every game before it is in late game, because there's 2 of him, and then you have 4 searchers that can find Hody Jones. It's very consistent. Now, those are the only really useful Fishmen in the deck, and the others are going to be 2k counters so that Kemi doesn't miss all the time. The first 2k counter is simply going to be Zeo. Zeo, his effect does nothing. It is leader locked. But he is kind of useful because he's a 2 cost, and so you can just hard play him to fulfill your leader effect condition. Or if you're in your 2-don turn, you can play out Zeo so that you can bounce it back later. Obviously, in your 2-don turn, you would rather play 2 searchers, but sometimes you have no searchers. You can play out Zeo. Honestly, you play him more often than you would think. He's pretty useful. And then the next 2k counter is going to be Hachan. Hachan, just like Zeo, does not actually have an effect in this deck. He is simply a 2k counter. He does not much else. He has a very, very niche use where he's a slash character, so you can cheat him out with Dracul Mihawk, but the amount of times I've done that is very, very small, and if you are in a situation where your best play is to play Mihawk into Hachan, you are probably not winning that match, but it's a play you have, and that's why I play him over the 2k Jinbei counter, because that's another one that you can play. The next up we have Chocolate Pudding. 3 times. I think I should cut this down to 2, to be honest, but this is the list I played with in the regional, so that's what I'm showing. Chocolate Pudding on play, you completely ruin your opponent's hand. It's incredibly good against Black Yellow Luffy, against Enel. It is good against Uta, but she's not that relevant. Good against Bonnie, good against Whitebeard. But we mostly have her in the deck against Black Yellow Luffy, because she really makes that matchup much, much easier if you see her. However, against certain other decks like Lucci, she's kind of a dead card in your hands, so I think she should be cut down to 2. But still, she can single-handedly win you games, and she has single-handedly won me games. And then we have 3 cards left, which are 3 events. First one is You Can Be My Samurai, 2 times. This card, in theory, is incredibly good because it is a 1 cost that lets you draw 2 cards in exchange for resting 2 characters. And resting 2 characters in this deck is honestly not a very big cost because we have 8 searchers. You can just rest the searchers and get 2 cards, or you can do a play like, you play Vanderdecken, to get this effect. Then you say, okay, you can be my samurai to rest friend their deck and rest a searcher I have, draw 2 cards. Now I use my leader ability to bounce back Fender deck and restand something. It's very, very strong. The reason we run that too is because it has no counter, and in certain matchups where you want to go hyper aggressive, it's a bit of a brick in the sense that you don't want to spend 1 Dawn on card advantage if you're trying to be hyper aggressive. And then lastly, our last event is gonna be Demonic Aura 9 Sword Style Asura Demon 9 Flash. Wow, okay. It's a one-off. It's a card that can come in really clutch because it says up to one of your leader or character cards gains 3000 power during this turn. Then you can rest one of your characters with cost 3 or more to rest a opponent character with cost 5 or less. So basically, it is a finisher card. You can also use it for board control in very niche situations, but it's usually just a finisher card that can win you the game, just like Cody Jones can. It's good, but it's not amazing, and there are going to be matchups where this is just kind of a brick, which is why we run only a one-off. I think it's a very replaceable card in the deck, but it has won me games, so it's still in there. And next up, I'd like to show you some gameplay of this deck in action. So this is going to be a recording that I made a while ago when I was playing ranked, and this is right after the new starter decks, so OP08.5, when those released. And the deck you're going to see is the exact same one that I just showcased, except I replaced the older Boa Hancock with the new Boa Hancock. And I remember this was a pretty even match that really showcases the deck, so let's get into it. So my opponent was playing Lucci from what I remember. Yeah, he was playing Lucci, pretty high ranked, and I go second. You always want to go second with this deck. And I see that I have 2 searchers in hand, which will likely find Jinbei, so I decide to keep. You always want to see Jinbei or searchers, and otherwise you usually mulligan. They spawn them, doesn't find anything sadly. I do find something with Kami, I find Jinbei, instantly take him, because you really want to see Jinbei. And then I try to search for a better warlord, end up finding Jinbei and Outward Weevil. I'm debating between Jinbei and Weevil now. Weevil is better than Moria next turn, however, Jinbei is going to help us develop board a lot later, so I end up choosing Jinbei, which is the good choice, and I end my turn. Now it's up to him. The only really good play he can do here is play Brook, which I hope he doesn't have, because that is a very strong card against me. But he does have Brook. I also took life, by the way, because you really want to have those resources in this matchup. I would rather not counter out and save some resources than counter out. So now I do a standard play, just swing a 5k into his leader, which I don't know if he takes. And I play Jinbei into Boa Hancock, who I top decked, kind of lucky, because that's a better play than Moria, luckily. I decide to place these cards at the bottom, because frankly, they're not that important to have soon, and I would rather see a Fishman such as Cody Jones Fender deck. And now it's his turn. I'm a little bit afraid of a Lucci play, because if he has something like Ice Age Lucci, he can clear my entire board. That's the absolute best thing that Rob Lucci can have in this situation. And he doesn't seem to have it at this point, because he just removed one thing, which is good for me. I'm deciding to counter. I should counter, yes, good job me. And he ends up having Lucci, so he clears my entire board. This is a very strong start for Lucci, so I'm in a bit of a rough spot here. I have no board. I do have Jinbei in hand, luckily, very nice. So I will definitely play Jinbei this turn, and on top of that, I'm not sure what else I'm gonna do. I assume that I will swing a 6k on Brook, because you really want to get rid of that. And then I'll probably play like Jinbei into Moria and then Kami. That should be the best play here. I'm not sure why I'm thinking so long. So I swing a 6k on Brook, he should let that go. If he counters it, he has no hand cards. But we'll see, he lets it go. I play out Jinbei. I play out the Searcher first, yeah, that's the best thing to do. I find Cody Jones, which is very, very nice. Cody Jones is an incredible game finisher. And I play Jinbei into Moria, take back my Jinbei that just died. So I'm in a decent spot now. Hopefully he cannot clear my board again. The odds are kind of low for him to clear my board completely again. That would be really lucky for him. But there's a good chance that he has like a who's who or something like that to remove one of my 7 warlords. He swings a 6. I could counter, but I wouldn't have much counter to defend my board with anymore. I'm thinking about it. Could also counter out just to be safe. I think I should take this personally. I'm thinking. I really should take this, to be honest. Otherwise, yes, I have no counter otherwise to defend my board. He swings a 7. This is kind of awkward. I'm gonna take my life. I'm not sure if this is the right decision looking at this footage because, okay, he clears my Kami. He doesn't clear 2 of my characters. That's good. I'm at 1 life, which is really not too great. I kind of have to clear his Lucci now. Maybe even his Brook. Because otherwise he just has too much offensive pressure. I mean, he's at, I think, 9 on next turn. So he'd be able to just swing really big into me if he wants to. And that is very bad for me. So, best play here, I'm definitely going to play Jimmy into Weevil. And then other than that, I mean, I have choices. I could play my event to resist Rebecca, give one of my characters a plus. I can play Vanderdecken to clear his Lucci. That's probably the best play here. Clear his Lucci with Vanderdecken, swing with Jimmy and Moria, use my Zoro Sanji effect to bounce Vanderdecken back, restand, get an extra swing, and then play Jimmy into Edward Weevil, and then I would have a really strong board. I'm gonna swing it to Brook first. That's the right choice. He counters a 2k, that's fine. That's a 2k out of his hand. This Brook is dead anyway, right? I have 3 more swings considering my leader build. He blocks this one. That's also good for us, getting rid of that blocker. Play Vanderdecken, trash a 2k sadly. Get rid of the Lucci, swing another 6k on Brook. He should really let this go. Yeah, he does. Swing another 6k out his life, which he takes. Very nice. And we play Jimmy into Weevil. And now, it was looking kind of bad, but we completely turned the tides in our favor. To be fair, we were a bit lucky that he could not remove Jinbei or Gekko Moria last turn. He only removed Kami. But this is a great situation to be in. Obviously, we're still at 1 life. That's a bit sad, a bit unfortunate. But we have a strong board. We have some counters, so we can counter this out. I'm countering with Jinbei. Yeah, Jinbei is not too useful in my hand right now, so that's fine. I can counter out with him. He plays a Spandine, who cheats at Lucci. He's gonna clear our Weevil. It's nice that he couldn't clear 2 characters, I'm not gonna lie. He does have this Sabo now, which probably fixed his hand. However, it's still great that we have 3 characters on board. That's very lucky for us. Now I'm thinking about what to do. I could try and finish him off by using my event to resist Sabo, get a bunch of swings in, like I can do 7, 7, 7, 9, 9, I believe. I can do really big swings. However, I'm also in lethal range for him. Because he has 2 6k swings and a 5k swing, I have only 1 life. Which is very dangerous for us. And, oh yeah, we end up talking a little bit here. Talking about how I'm lucky to get the 3 Jinbei, although the 3rd one didn't really matter, but having 2 Jinbeis is pretty good. So I really have to get rid of his Lucci, but I also want to get offensive. I should also get rid of his Sabo, honestly, because if he has Sabo plus Lucci, with his 10 Don, he can swing 10k with Sabo, 11k with Lucci. So I need to be able to counter 10k, which I cannot actually do with my hand. Unless I bounce a counter to my hand, I suppose, but that's not a great play. So I end up playing the Demonic cards, plus 3 to my leader, rest Jinbei, rest is Sabo. So that I assume I'm gonna swing into the one of his characters, or maybe both. Or I could swing into one of his characters and then destroy Lucci with Vanderdecken. Right, I think that's the play that I should make here. Vanderdecken can also be bounced back to restand something, so I can swing on... I'm swinging leader first. Okay, that's questionable. I should have put the 3k on my Moria, to be honest, and then swung 8k on his Sabo. That's my mistake. Swing another 6k as leader, he counters. This is mostly to get counter out of his hand, to be honest. So I can swing on his... Okay, I play Vanderdecken. Removes Lucci, very nice. I could discard Hoodie Jones to do that. That was a brick anyway, that's good. I'm gonna have to put 1 on their leader now, swing a 9k on his Sabo. I would rather have swung an 8k on his Sabo. My Dawn spreading is not too great here. But the principle remains the same. I swing 9k on his Sabo now to clear it. And that's gonna bounce my Vanderdecken, which will restand. Gecko Moria, which is gonna be an 8k swing on his life. He should probably take this, yeah. If he had enough counter for that, I would have been really surprised. And now we are in prime position for a Hoodie Jones play next turn. There is no way he finishes us off. We have 5k counter. I do not believe he has any way to deal with that. I'm not sure what he even has in trash. Like maybe there's a Gecko Moria play to clear everything. Oh, he swings on his board first, and then he might be able to clear both our characters. But I counter this out. There's a Gecko Moria. Classic. Obviously has that. I'm gonna assume he does the classic Rob Lucci play, where he just clears 2 characters. Although I'm not sure what's in his trash. Yeah, he also has Rob Lucci in his trash, so he's gonna do it. Oh, but he didn't play Ice Age or Tempest Kick, so he can only clear 1 character. Okay, wow, that's, I suppose, unlucky from his side. His early game was really strong, but he had some misfortune later. I play out Hoodie Jones instantly. Have to play that. There's a 7k into his life, which we will restand later. He counters out. We're gonna swing 5, get some card out of his hand. That's fine. This is very awkward. We have to swing 8k first here instead of 5k, because actually we don't. Why did I do that? I think I'm way too used to having only 1 character on the field when I play Hoodie Jones, because in those situations what you do is you play Hoodie Jones for 7 Dawn, put 2 Dawn under Jimmy in this case, you swing 7k at life, and then you swing 8k at life, then the leader swings 6k at life, you bounce your own Hoodie Jones back to hand to restand your 7k swing, and then you swing 7k, which is the best way to play that situation, basically. So I think that's where the misplay came from, that set. But that's the game. Hopefully it was a good showcase of what the deck can do, how powerful the whole bouncing effect is, how Jinbei makes your leader ability free, and Vanderdecken is just an incredible card to give you board control, and how good the deck works together. But yeah, it's a great deck. Hopefully I've been able to convince you of that. If you want to try it out on the sim, I will put the deck list in the description, and then you can copy paste that to try it out yourself. And if you do try it out, honestly, experiment with it, because I'm just one guy. I think this list is really good right now, but there are definitely parts that can be improved if there's more people experimenting with it. But for now, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I have to say that apparently. And see you in the next one. Bye.